Hello, this is Dr. Mercola, and many people use coffee in the morning for a quick energy boost. I'd like to talk about that for a few minutes. The reason they use coffee is because it contains caffeine, as do most sodas. And caffeine is a drug. In fact, it is the most commonly used drug in the world. And I believe, as do many other experts, that when you rely on using a drug to treat symptoms, especially over the long term, there's a likelihood that you can run into complications of some sort. So I believe it's best to seek to avoid using caffeine as a substitute for energy boosting. Now, there are times, of course, when you can use it therapeutically. In fact, I use it myself, even though I don't particularly care for the taste of coffee, and I use it about once a year when I travel over 4 or 5 time zones. And I typically want to fall asleep about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Of course, that's far too early. So what I will do is take some coffee and continue to take it until I reach my normal bedtime in the time zone, which is typically 9 or 10 o'clock. And at that time, I'll take some sublingual melatonin and I fall asleep. And the next morning, there is no jet lag. So it's a marvelous approach for that. So unless you're using that therapeutically, it probably is wise to go off of it. So the best way to do that is, of course, is to improve your body's systems to produce natural energy. And of course, following the take control of your health lifestyle plan is a way to do that, by eating right for your nutritional type, by engaging in the appropriate amounts of exercise for you, and taking care of the emotional challenges that you have, and getting plenty of water. These are all good and powerful ways to improve your energy systems. So another simple way that it can be done, especially if you're seeking to go off of caffeine, and when you do go off of caffeine, especially if you're taking large amounts, you want to go off slowly. Yes, you want to wean off, because it is a drug. And if you go off it too quickly, you can clearly run into irritability, headaches, severe headaches many times, and a variety of other symptoms. So if you're taking large amounts, you may want to go off over a 3-week period and wean yourself off slowly. So another thing but when you go off of it, of course, you just don't want to go off of it and not replace it with an appropriate healthy substitute. So to take control of your healthy lifestyle is one approach, but you can also use a vitamin. Yes, you can use a vitamin. There is a supplement called Vitamin B12, which works really quickly and is enormously useful for giving a rapid increase of energy. Certainly far safer and healthier than a cup of coffee. And the reason it seems to work is that there are many people who are deficient in it. And let me just outline some groups, because you might fall into one of them. First of all, it's important to understand that vitamin B12 is the largest vitamin that we know of. And because of its large size, it's very difficult to absorb orally. So your body makes a protein called intrinsic factor. It makes this in the lining of your stomach. And this intrinsic factor combines with the vitamin B12. And then as it slides down the gut into your intestine, it actually is absorbed at that level. It actively is absorbed in the intestine. So without that intrinsic factor, you just goes out and you excrete it, and you do not get the vitamin B12. So what happens, though, is that as you start to age, especially if you're leading an unhealthy lifestyle, 40, 50 years old, your amount of intrinsic factor that your body produces progressively decreases with time. So your likelihood of developing a B12 deficiency increases. Now, there are other groups that we know who are also at vitamin B12 deficiency. And those are people who are vegans, who avoid animal products, because vitamin B12 is in animal products. And if you're not eating any animal products over a number of years, you're clearly at risk for developing a vitamin B12 deficiency. And another group would be those who have trouble sleeping, because vitamin B12 is a cofactor that's important for production of melatonin, and melatonin is really crucial for a good night's sleep. So another point to consider, though, is that even if you're eating large amounts of animal protein, where the vitamin B12 is, if you're not making this intrinsic factor, then it just becomes virtually impossible to absorb that vitamin B12. That's why many people go to the physician's offices to get that as a supplement. What I'm excited to share is that I recently learned about a new product that's called Vitamin B12 Energy Booster, which comes in a convenient spray that you spray under your tongue, and it's really very useful. It's rapidly absorbed into your system, and as a result of that, you get these pretty rapid increases in energy. So it's another option that you can have if you're one of the people who are relying, one of the many people who are relying on using coffee in the morning. for that quick energy boost. Because the key thing is, of course, is you want to maximize your own body's internal resources to improve energy naturally. Because when you do it that way, you're decreasing and minimizing the risk for developing any type of chronic degenerative diseases. So hopefully this information was helpful and will give you some powerful information to continue to improve your health.